A little old lady goes to her doctor for a checkup. "Doctor," she says, "I have a problem. I fart all the time. The good thing is, no one can hear them or smell them. In fact, I've farted twice since you came in. Bet you didn't hear or smell a thing, did you?" The doctor examines her and says, "I can help. First, I'll give you an over-the-counter pill to reduce the gas. Second, I'll write you a prescription to help you get your sense of smell back. And third," he hands her a slip of paper, "this is a referral to an audiologist, so you can start hearing them." Doctor: "I have some bad news and some very bad news." Patient: "Well, might as well give me the bad news first." Doctor: "The lab called with your test results. They said you have 24 hours to live." Patient: 24 hours? That's terrible. What could be worse than that? What's the very bad news? Doctor: "I've been trying to reach you since yesterday." A Japanese man, a Russian, a Filipino, and an American went to test a magic swimming pool. The rule was simple. Whatever you shouted while jumping in, the pool would magically turn into that substance. The Japanese man tossed aside his wooden sandals, ran and shouted, "Sake!" He landed happily in 5 feet of smooth Japanese rice wine. The Russian tossed his AK-47 aside, sprinted, and yelled, "Vodka!" He splashed into pure Russian vodka and started drinking. The Filipino threw away the banana he was eating, flipped in the air, and shouted, "Lambanog!" He landed in the finest coconut wine. Finally, the American put down his iPhone and ran toward the pool. But he slipped on the banana peel, and as he flailed in the air, he screamed, "Shit!" And the pool magically turned into exactly that. A guy goes in for a job interview. The interviewer asks, "So, what would you consider to be your biggest weakness?" The guy replies, "Honesty. I'm honest with everyone. I don't know how to be anything but completely honest with every single person I meet." The interviewer says, I don't really see how honesty could be a weakness. In fact, I'd say honesty is a great strength." The guy shrugs and says, "I don't really give a shit what you think." 3 nurses walk into a patient's room and find him completely unresponsive. The first nurse checks his vitals, but also notices he's got quite a situation going on downstairs. She shrugs and says, "Well, he deserves a proper send-off." She hops on, does her thing, but eventually gets too tired to keep going. The second nurse steps in and gives it a go, but she too gets worn out. Finally, it's the third nurse's turn, but she hesitates. Bad timing. I'm on my monthly subscription." The others convince her, and halfway through, the man suddenly wakes up. The nurses panic and ask, "What just happened?" He grins and says, "Thanks, ladies. After 2 jump starts and a blood transfusion, I feel freaking amazing." A burglar breaks into a home and holds the husband and wife in it hostage. At gunpoint, he forces the two to sit on chairs facing the opposite way, back to each other, and ties them to the chairs. The burglar slowly and methodically begins stealing from the house. When the burglar has taken everything of value, he gets ready to leave, the homeowners still bound to their chairs, when suddenly the man yells at the burglar, "Please untie her. Please let her go." The thief responds with, "No, I'm not untying either of you so that the authorities get notified as late as possible. Don't worry, your neighbors will soon wonder why your lights are still on throughout the night and check in on you long before you succumb to dehydration." The man yet again pleads, "Please, just untie her. I'll do anything." The burglar once again explains his reasoning. "I need to get away with this crime. I'm sorry, I can't leave anything up to chance." The man shuffles his chair towards the burglar, in a state of mania, exclaims, "I'm begging you, man, just let her go. She won't call the cops, I promise." The burglar, still unwilling to budge, did find it quite touching how much his hostage cared about his wife. "Wow," he said, "you must really love your wife to beg me to untie her so desperately." "No," the man replied in a state of frenzy. My wife will be home in 15 minutes. A married couple is driving down the interstate doing 55 mph with the husband behind the wheel. His wife looks over at him and says, "Honey, I know we've been married for 15 years, but I want a divorce." The husband says nothing, but slowly increases his speed to 60 mph. She then says, "I don't want you to try to talk me out of it, because I've been having an affair with your best friend, and he's a better lover than you." Again, the husband stays quiet and just speeds up as his anger increases. She says, "I want the house." Again, the husband speeds up and is now doing 70 mph. She says, "I want the kids too." The husband just keeps driving faster and faster. Now he's up to 80 mph. She says, "I want the car, the checking account, and all the credit cards too." The husband slowly starts to veer toward a bridge overpass piling as she says, "Is there anything you want?" The husband says, "No, I've got everything I need." She asks, "Really? What's that?" As he veers the car off the road at 90 mph, he replies, "The airbag!" Dorothy and Edna, two elderly widows, are talking. Dorothy says, "That nice George Johnson asked me out for a date. I know you went out with him last week, and I wanted to talk with you about him before I give him my answer." Edna replies, "Well, I'll warn you about what happened last week. George showed up at my apartment punctually at 7 p.m., dressed like such a gentleman in a fine suit, and he brings me such beautiful flowers. Then he took me downstairs, and what's there but a luxury car, a limousine, uniformed chauffeur and all. Then he took me out for dinner, a marvelous dinner, lobster, champagne, dessert, and after-dinner drinks. Then we went to see a show. Let me tell you, Dorothy, I enjoyed it so much, I could have just died from pleasure. But then we were coming back to my apartment, and he turns into an animal. Completely crazy, he tears off my expensive new dress and took his way with me 2 times, Dorothy exclaims. Goodness gracious! So you are telling me I shouldn't go out with him? Edna smiled. No, not at all. I'm just saying, wear an old dress. A man goes to a female dentist to have a tooth pulled. He's visibly nervous, shifting in his chair, so the dentist tries to calm him down. Don't worry, she says with a reassuring smile. This will only hurt a little. You'll feel a pinch, and then it'll all be over. The man chuckles nervously. It's not the pain I'm worried about, Doc. It's the bill. The dentist laughs, but carries on professionally. She administers the numbing agent and begins the procedure. Just as she's about to start, the man grabs her hand and says, Be gentle, okay? I've never done this with a woman before. The dentist raises an eyebrow and smirks. What do you mean, with a woman? He stammers, I mean a female dentist. I've only had guy dentists before, so this is new territory for me. With a sly grin, she quips, Well, first time for everything. Relax. I'll make sure it's a memorable experience. The man laughs nervously. After the tooth is pulled and the procedure is done, the dentist hands him the bill. He looks at it, sighs, and mutters under his breath, Yep, definitely memorable. A doctor comes up with a crazy idea to make more money. He puts a sign outside his clinic that reads, If I can cure you, you pay me $20. If I can't, I'll pay you $100. A lawyer sees the sign and decides it's his time to shine. He goes to the doctor and says, Doctor, I've lost my sense of taste. Please cure me. The doctor tells his nurse, Bring me some medicine from drawer 33. The lawyer takes a swig, immediately spits it out, and exclaims, This is gasoline. The doctor smiles and says, There you go. Taste restored. That'll be $20, please. Frustrated, the lawyer pays and leaves, but he's determined to outsmart the doctor. The next day, he returns and says, Doctor, I've lost my memory. Please cure me. The doctor nods and says to his nurse, Bring me some medicine from drawer 33. The lawyer shouts, Wait, that's the same stuff you gave me last time. The doctor grins. Memory restored. That'll be $20, please. Now, furious, the lawyer comes back the next day with a foolproof plan and says, Doctor, I've gone blind. Cure me if you can. The doctor sighs and says, Sorry, I can't cure blindness. Here's your $100. He hands the lawyer a $5 bill. The lawyer says, Hey, this is only $5, not $100. The doctor smiles and says, Blindness cured. That'll be $20, please. A priest and a nun are caught in a blizzard. They find a deserted cabin and take shelter where they find a sleeping bag, a bed, and a pile of blankets. The priest, being a gentleman, offers the nun the bed and takes the sleeping bag for himself. As they get tucked in for the night, the nun calls out, Father, Father, I'm cold. So the priest gets up and puts another blanket on the nun. Is that better, sister? He asks. Yes, Father. Much better, she replies. So he gets back in his sleeping bag and starts to nod off when she again calls out, Father, I'm still cold. So once again the priest gets up and puts another blanket on her, ensuring she is tucked into the bed well. Is that better, sister? He asks. Oh, yes, Father, that's much better, she says. So the priest gets himself back into the sleeping bag and is just starting to dream when he wakes up to her calling out, Father, Father, I'm just so cold. The priest thinks long about this and finally says, Sister, we are in the middle of nowhere in a blizzard. No one but you, myself, and the Lord himself will ever know what happens here this night. How about, just for this night, we act as though we were married? The nun thinks about this for a minute. She can't help but admit to herself she's been curious, and finally answers, Okay, Father, just for tonight we will act as though we are married. Great, the father replies. Get up and get your own damned blanket. A young guy moved to California and went to a big box store looking for a job. The manager of the store asked him, Do you have any sales experience? The guy replied, Yeah, I was a salesman back home. The manager liked him and gave him the job. You can start tomorrow. I'll come down after we close and see how you did. His first day on the job was rough, but he got through it. After the store was locked up, the manager came down and asked, How many customers bought something from you today? The guy replies, Just one. The boss asks, Just one? Our salespeople average 20 to 30 customers a day. The boss continued, How much was the sale for? The guy replied, Over $125,000. The boss was shocked. Over $125,000. What the heck did you sell? The guy answered, First I sold him a fish hook, then I sold him a new fishing rod. Then I asked him where he was going fishing, and he said down the coast, so I told him he was going to need a boat. So we went down to the boat department, and I sold him a twin-engine Boston whaler. Then he said he didn't think his Honda Civic would pull it, so I took him down to the automotive department and sold him that expedition. The boss was amazed. A guy came in here to buy a fish hook and you sold him a boat and a truck? The guy said, No, the guy came in here to buy tampons for his wife. And I said, Dude, your weekend's shot. You should go fishing. One day, a lady was driving on the highway. She frequently checked her speedometer to make sure she was within the speed limit. However, as she glanced in her rearview mirror, she noticed a police car following her. To her dismay, the police car turned on its flashing lights. Panic set in as she thought, What could I have done wrong? I'm not speeding, I'm not drinking, my seatbelt is on, and my license is up to date. Reluctantly, she pulled over to the side of the road, and the police car stopped right behind her. She rolled down her window, nervous and confused, bracing herself for a ticket she knew she didn't deserve. The officer approached her car. Thinking quickly, she pointed to her ear and shook her head, signaling that she was deaf. The policeman smiled and, understanding sign language, signed back, I know. I'm here to tell you, your horn is stuck.